I was born in Chillicothe, Illinois, September 8, 1934. I was a son to Pamphila Lopez and Josephine Rodriguez Lopez. My father was born in San Francisco de Leon in Guanajuato, and my mother was born in Zacatecas. They migrated to the U.S. in 1920, and just like folks now, they're coming to the U.S. for better living conditions and for work. They migrated to the U.S. with two daughters, Sophie and Pauline, and my sister Eleanor was born in 1921. I had 6 sisters and 3 brothers. They settled in Chillicothe, Illinois, where my dad worked for Santa Fe Railroad, and we lived in north of the tracks, which is North Chillicothe. At that time, it was known as the Mexican camp. And after being driven back and forth from downtown in the cab driver decided to name it Mexican Village. So it was a village instead of a camp. But actually, if you really look at it, those buildings were made out of brick, and they were more like condos than shacks, so it was pretty good living.
So my father decided to come to the States with his family, and they all came across the border in the 1920s. They came as a group, so they didn't have a destination at that time. So they would stop and work the fields in Texas. From Texas, they moved to Montana, where there was work in the fields. And they worked the beet fields in Montana, I understand. They worked the beet fields. My mother worked the field, and so did my father. My oldest brother, Jack, he was left in charge. They were all young, you know, they were under 10 years old. And he would have to watch them, and it was cold, and they had this fire in the cold stove, in an old-fashioned stove. And a spark flew out of the stove and hit some straw that was around and started the house on fire. And my brother took his younger brothers, my oldest brother Jack took the younger brothers out of this cabin and avoided having them get hurt in this fire. He started to write to me, you know, he would tell me about, you know, where he worked, and he worked in third shift, and he would write almost every day, and I would answer, and so we did get to know one another a little better. You know, he would tell me about his family, and I would tell him what I was doing at that time also. So we did write to one another. I think it was about 2 years. We always had something to write about, so I did keep some of his letters. I still have them. And we write to each other, but when she went to Mexico with her mother, and she wrote me a letter from Tucumcari telling me how she was ready to come home and to see me, and then I knew that I had something. Then I knew that we wanted to be together. But we used to take trips to Mexico in station wagons and California.
I think I drove my car to Mexico 3 different times. It took us 2 days to drive from here to Texas border, and another day and a half into Mexico to La Piedad, Michoacan. And then this one time we stopped for gas, and I told the kids, I said, I don't wander around. I said, stay in the car while I fill up here, because we're not going to spend much time here. And I filled up the car, paid for the gas, and we left. And we were about 3 to 4 miles down the road, and I looked around and says, where's Gilbert? We had to backtrack. We had left him at the gas station. But on our trips out to California, we'd stop for dinner at a restaurant, and Gilbert, the youngest one, he always wanted to sit with the boys. He didn't want to sit with Mom and Dad. He'd like to get to the menu and order just everything that he wanted to order. He didn't ask, he just ordered.
I've always been proud of my Mexican heritage. My mother was very strong and worked hard all her life, but she's also proud. The thing that she was most proud of was going to school and becoming an American citizen. But she taught me to always enjoy my Mexican family, the activities. We enjoy the music to this day. There are certain songs that my Melanie remembers dancing with her grandfather, and that's a song in Spanish, La Bamba. And I hope they always remember what their grandparents were like. When I was a child, and after my father passed, I was very close to my mother, and she would talk to me, and she would tell me how important it was to have our religion, to believe in something, to believe in God, and to believe that whatever you asked of him, he would grant you. And he gave me these 8 children, and I love them all, and I hope they do the same with their lives, continue what Jess and I started.